So first, if you can, just introduce yourself and then just share a little bit about like what brought you to your line of work and also what brought you to be connected with CSPL.
Sure. So my name is Dr. Tamajah Jordan. I am a family doctor at MacNeal, and I serve as one of the core faculty for the family medicine residency program that MacNeal Loyola sponsors. And I've been here almost 3 years. I have been a family doc for about 16 years. I'm originally from New Orleans and ultimately moved to Chicago to pursue a career in family medicine with OB. So I've done a lot of prenatal care, taken care of a lot of patients in the mostly western suburbs, but I have a lot of patients from all over. I'm particularly, what's the word? I really, like, one of my favorite things to do is definitely OB, and I am a Spanish-speaking provider, so I do take care of a lot of the Latino and Latina community, whether they're pregnant, all aspects of life, and being able to really talk to patients and communicate in Spanish means a lot to me.
Cool. So what got you connected to CSPL?
Actually, our chief medical officer reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in serving as a doc to just speak to why it's so important to be counted in the census. So it was a brief email, and I responded immediately. Like, he sent it, and I responded within like 5 minutes because I thought, wait, like, that when I think about the city of and the population of like Berwyn and Cicero, like, for them to be able to see a doc of color, I may not be Latino or Latina, but I still, I feel like it's important to be able to like encourage everyone to participate in the census. It's important to me.
Yes, and I know you kind of touched on that a little bit, but in your own words, why do you think the census is important for people to participate in?
So there's many reasons why it's important, and I think the first thing that I think about is that it's required. It's the law.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be counted, and what happens is that money is used for so many different things. It determines things like the poverty level, so that the cutoffs for public aid are determined, and like funding for different programs that can help the community, whether it be resources for a particular group, in the population or not. It helps with so many things, getting the roads repaired. I mean, if the government doesn't know who lives in the particular community, especially those of us who are underrepresented, it makes a big difference, because then we don't get the funds that we need in order to make our lives better. So it's definitely important to be counted. There's so many different stats that are created. Like, I recently gave a lecture to the residents, and we talked about the city of Berwyn, and I looked up on the census website to find out like what percentage of people in Berwyn, the city where I work, what percentage speak Spanish at home, what percentage are Black, what percentage are Latin, of Latin ancestry. And the main way that I found that information out was through using the census. And so it helped me to be able to teach and to be able to explain how important it is that our group really should be a reflection of the community in which we serve. And so, it's not just the funding. I mean, that is a huge part of where the census impact is, but it's also allowing us to have the correct information when we're describing our communities. If our Black neighbors and Latino neighbors are fearful and don't want to participate, is a huge problem, because then we don't know what the right numbers are. I could say that Berwyn is 7% Black, but if 20% of us don't respond, then our counts are inaccurate, and that affects any programs that could be in the process of being generated for our communities. So it's very important to be counted.
I know you kind of answered why we should do census in general and also how it kind of impacts your work. But for those who are like, man, I don't know if I, even after hearing this, if I should even get involved, what would you say to those people?
You know, I think one of my first thoughts when I, think about someone being sent a packet in the mail or an email saying, go online and register and tell us who lives in your home and, where you're from and, all these different questions about ethnicity and religion and all those things. I think, sorry, that's okay. I think, my first thought was, people, I don't want my community to be concerned that they're going to be reported, because I feel like that's going to be a really big concern. And what I read showed that there's actually a law that all of the information that is reported on this questionnaire for the census it's legally protected, and the Census Bureau is totally separate from the government. So nothing that you report in this questionnaire affects your ability to live and stay in the city, in the place where you are. Mm-hmm. I also saw that there's really expensive penalties too if that's ever violated. So, I would say don't miss out on this because you're afraid that it may affect your living situation or it may be reportable and ICE comes to your house. That's not what this is about. This is just getting the data and the stats so that the government ultimately can figure out which programs are needed, which repairs are needed. Then it's the Census Bureau working alongside the government, not in it. Mm. So, I think too, we do get really busy with work, we get busy with our families, and that's not a priority if you have to work and, provide for your children. But know that if you take that 5 minutes, I think this year they're even doing the census reports by phone. You can go on your smartphone and go to the website and submit the information that reflects your family, so it doesn't have to take a long time. But and it's also something that's only once every 10 years. I wish I could say we pay a whole lot of money to do it, but that's not the case. This is your right and the requirement as someone who lives in the United States. Mm. So I also read that this is the first year that there's not going to be a question about whether or not you're a citizen. So if that is of concern at all, don't let that keep you away from giving the information that we need.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jordan, for sharing your thoughts. Before we end, is there anything else you would like to end and say, or?
I think the only thing I think of is just it's an honor. Like I'm always honored, and it's a privilege for me to serve in the community. That's Latino, that's Black. I mean, it's diversity is really important. So for me, it doesn't matter what your background is, but just getting that information out there and knowing that your input is so valuable is first and foremost.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.